Hello there everyone, my name is Crazy Caleb, and today we're going to be taking a look at one of the two planar ciphers as of the time of this recording, Pandemonium Cipher. So this is the way the module looks. It's sort of a grayish, it's very much a gray background, and it's got a series of different displays up at the top here, along with this 5x5 grid of which you can navigate by pressing the arrows, and the one that you will be selecting here is marked in white. So we're going to go through a series of ciphers, as you normally would with a cipher module. Well, this is sort of a three-step cipher module, and what we're going to do is we're going to essentially go through this. We're going to find we're going to use our encrypted word, and we're going to build a series of grids, or rather just one grid because we're going to be focusing on that, and we're going to go through a series of 3 different ciphers. So the first step that we actually need to do is we need to get everything that we have on the actual module here. So what's going to be happening is we have the encrypted word at the top here, which is going to be the first 6 letters that you see here, and NCB Whiskey, 7, Whiskey India Zulu Hotel. And whenever the lights turn back on, we can get the rest of it here. Anytime now. And there's going to be a keyword on the top panel, which we can cycle through here. Note that it gets rid of everything from beforehand, and you can simply just press it back to cycle it back. It will always form a word, even though some of the words might seem weird. You can do a lot with 7 words, trust me. So in this case, that'll be an outdrop. That'll be the top display. Next, there's going to be 2 different keywords on the bottom of these 2 displays here. So it's going to be cantrip and caroler. Cantrip and caroler. We have that. And there's going to be one other thing that we need to note down, and that is going to be the letter that is next to the sub of the submit button here. And in this case, that's going to correspond to a Sierra. We're going to note all that down, and that's all we need from the actual module itself. Obviously, we can go back, get cycles between displays, and we're good to go. Now, we don't actually need anything from the actual edge work, so we're good to go. So let's pop this up and let's get into it. So for the first step, we actually need to create our key, which is we're going to be using throughout the entire module. It will be used actually in every single step, as you can see by this grid here. So this is going to be creating our key, and I'm actually going to full screen this because of the fact that the manual is a little bit weird with the way that it is as of right now. So for steps 1, 2, and 3, you'll need a key. To make this key, we're going to make an empty 5x5 grid. Let's do that. So we're going to make 5x5. I'm going to mark it with these dashes here. And we're going to fill them with a series of different letters. So now what we're going to do is we're going to start with the keyword that we got from the top display here, which is outdrop. So let's bring this down here. And essentially what we're going to do is we're going to make we made our empty 5x5 grid, and for each letter, take its alphanumeric position, ignoring any X's in both the keyword and in the alphabet. So what this means is that it's A1Z25. That's the way that this works. It's normally, like for playfairs, you would ignore Juliet, but in this case, it's simply ignoring X-ray. So we'll keep that in mind. We will always ignore X-ray throughout the entire throughout the entire module. So just keep that in mind. X-ray is the one that you're simply going to ignore because there's 26 letters in the alphabet, but a 5x5 grid is not able to supply 26 letters here. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking the alphanumeric position and placing it in the first unplaced letter of the alphabet on the grid at that position in reading order. So as we can see here, we have the example of bellows. The first letter being a bravo. That is in the second position, which, as we can see here, is marked with an alpha. So essentially what we're going to be doing is we're going to be going through A, B, C, D, E through the entire alphabet. However, what we're going to be doing is we're going to start by each of these alphanumeric positions. So we're going to do an Oscar. So Oscar is going to be 15. 15 is going to be 5, 10, 15 right here. And that's going to be marked with an alpha right there. That is going to be the first letter that we get. We're going to mark that with an alpha. The next character, uniform. Uniform is going to be a 21. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 21. That's going to be a bravo because that's our next unplaced character. Then we have a tango. Tango is going to be 20. That's going to be right there. So it's going to be a Charlie. Delta is going to be alphanumeric position of 4. That's going to be, ironically enough, a delta. Next up is Romeo. Romeo is 18. So 5, 10, 15, 16, 17, and 18. That's going to be our echo. Then next up is Oscar. Now, we already happen to have Oscar placed already. So if we go 5, 10, 15, we would normally place our next character at this alpha position right here. However, if a position has already been occupied, we're simply going to go to the next square in reading order until you arrive at a variable square. And then we're going to loop around in the grid, both the grid and the keyword where necessary. So essentially what we're going to be doing is we're just going to go to the next alpha, next position that we can, which will be right here. Right at this dash right here, and we're simply going to place the next available character, which is a foxtrot, right there. Next up, Papa. Papa is going to be 16, 5, 10, 15, 16, which we actually just placed right there. So then what we're going to do is we're going to move one next, simply place our next available character, which is going to be a golf, and just like that, we're good to go. So now, essentially what we're going to be doing is we're going to be essentially doing the same thing where we're going to be looping it back and forth, whereas we're going to go from the O, and what we're going to be doing is we're going to be going to the next available position, putting in the next available alphabetical letter. That's the way that this works. So all we have to really do is start from is go from A, B, C, D, E, F, G, like so. And what we're going to do is we're going to start from alpha, and we're going to simply move to that position. We're going to move to the next available position, which is going to be right here. We're going to fill that in with the next available letter that we have, which is going to be a hotel. Since we've already placed golf, that's the latest letter that we have. It's going to be hotel. Then next up, from Bravo, we're going to be moving to the next available letter, which will be in India. India right there. Then from Charlie, we're going to place Juliet, and if you're starting to see things how they work, this is essentially what we're going to be doing for the entire key right here. Then from Delta, we're going to be placing a kilo right there. Then from Echo, we're going to be placing a Lima. Next to double spaces right there. Foxtrot is going to be a Mike. Then next up is going to be Golf. Golf, we're simply looping around back up to the top right here, which is going to be after Mike is a November. Then we have Alpha, which is going to give us this position right here, which is an Oscar. Bravo right here, looping back around up to here, is going to give us a Papa. Charlie right there, looping around, is going to give us, after Papa is going to be a Quebec. That'll be Quebec. Then from Delta, and as you can already see, we've already gone through everything that we have already. Everything is pretty much looping around, and at this point, we can simply just fill in the rest of the alphabet from here. So the next step will be Romeo, then Sierra, then Tango, then Uniform, then then Victor, then Whiskey, skipping over X-Ray, then Yankee, and then a Zulu. And just like that, we have our key. So we're going to be moving that. We don't need the outdrop anymore. And now we have our key. This is the grid that we're going to use throughout the entire module. So this is step 0. We've gridded our key, and just like that, we're good to go. So for the first step here, we're going to be using the global offset cipher, which is going to be taking the encrypted word from our top row, which represents this jumbled mess right here, which I'm going to bring down right here. And what we're going to do is we're going to look up each letter of your encryption in the grid and move it in the, we're going to use the key from step 0, which we have right here, which is always going to be the case that we have. And we're going to be using the key letter on the submit panel, which we happen to get was a Sierra right there. So look up each letter of your encryption in the grid and move it in the same way as you would to get to the center, to get from the center to the key letter. So what exactly does this mean? So what we're going to do is we're going to figure out from the center, how do we get to this key letter that we have a Sierra? So from the center, all we have to simply do is move 1 up to Sierra. And that's how that works. And now essentially what we're going to do is we're going to apply that transformation to each of these different letters and wrapping around if necessary. And if any x gets ignored, and stay at x. So let's do that. So remember, we're going 1 up from the center to get to Sierra, not 1 down from Sierra to get to the center to the key letter. That's the way this works. So November is our first character. We're going to go 1 up to a Bravo. Then Charlie, we're going to go 1 up to Alpha. Then Bravo, we're going to go 1 up to Foxtrot. Whiskey, we're going to go 1 up to Romeo. India, we're going to go 1 up to Golf. Zulu, we're going to go 1 up to Tango. And Hotel, we're going to go 1 up to Zulu. Just like that, that's good to go. So next up for step 2, it's going to be the Parallelogram Cipher. So we're going to still use the key from step 0, the key letter on the submit panel, and the 2 keywords on the bottom rows. This is where this comes in. So we have cantrip and caroler, so let's copy these guys. And what we're going to do is I'm going to place them in such a way that they can be like this. So we have our encrypted word right here, and we have our 2 keywords from the bottom display right there. So now what we're going to do, and just to make sure we don't have any x's, it's very rare for an x to actually pop up, so just keep that in mind. But that is essentially what's going to happen, is replace any x in the keywords with the key letter. So ignore any x in the encrypted word, and what we're going to do is for each letter, we're going to compare it to the position of the corresponding letter in both of the keywords. So what exactly are we doing here? So we're going to start off with a Bravo here, and essentially what we need to do is we need to compare the position from Bravo to get to these two letters here, and we're essentially going to add up the movements from these two characters, which happen to be both the exact same thing for the first two, which is very interesting. So essentially what we're going to be doing is we're going to be moving from Bravo to Charlie, and then we're going to be using the same movement to Charlie again. So let's, for example, use the Foxtrot in this case. We have November and a Romeo. So essentially what we're going to do is we're going to start at Foxtrot. That's going to be our starting position in the encrypted word. And we're going to apply the movement that we would get from Foxtrot to November and apply the movement that we would get from Foxtrot to Romeo. We're essentially going to combine two movements together. So let's do Foxtrot to November. Foxtrot to November takes us 3 up. So it's going to go 3 up. And then from Foxtrot to Romeo, we're essentially going to go 2 up, 1 right. So 2 up, 1 right. And essentially what we're going to do is we're going to go from Foxtrot, we're going to go 3 up to November. Then we're going to go 2 up, 1, 2 to Foxtrot, and then 1 right to Golf. And that's going to be the character that we note down. Like so. Likewise, if you happen to get two of the exact same letter, two duplicates, from Bravo, Bravo to Charlie is going to be a left up, just a simpler path to do. So left up, and essentially we're going to be doing that twice. So left up to Charlie, left up to Zulu, like so. And that's the way that works. Next up, Alpha goes to Alpha and Alpha, which happens to be the exact same character as this, so that means that this is simply just going to be left the exact same. There is no movement from Alpha to Alpha, and no movement from Alpha to Alpha, so that means Alpha stays exactly where it is. And then finally, and then let's keep going. So Romeo, we're going to be moving to Tango and Oscar. Tango wants us to move 2 right, and then Oscar wants us to move 1 up from Romeo. So Romeo to Tango moving us 2 right, and then Romeo to Oscar moving us 1 up. So essentially what we're going to do is combine these movements together. So 2 right to the Tango, 1 up to the Delta, and that's going to be the letter that we note down. From Golf, we're going to go Golf to Romeo and Lima. Romeo takes us 2 up, and then Lima from Golf takes us, where is it? Right down. So 2 up, and then right down to Zulu. So essentially what you actually can do, is, for the most part, you can actually go to one of the letters and then simply just apply the movement from Lima, from the other character. That's just kind of the way that we have to do it. But remember, keep in mind that you're essentially going from the encrypted letter to the other two characters. So just keep that in mind, that you're not going from Romeo to, you're not applying the transformation from Romeo to Lima. You're applying the transformation from Golf to Romeo, and then you're applying the transformation from Golf to Lima. And you're combining both of those movements together to get to a specific character. That's the way that works. So, next up, Tango to India Echo. Tango to Echo takes us left down. And then we can simplify getting us to India by doing up, left. Actually, let's just go to India first, because that's a little bit easier to do. And then let's go left, down. So we'll do left, down to Quebec. That's going to be our answer right there. And then Zulu to Papa and Romeo. Zulu to Papa Romeo, as we see here. We're going to go up, left to Romeo. And then we're going to go up, left to Papa. So from the Romeo, we're going to go up, left to Bravo. And that is going to be step 2. Probably the trickiest part of this entire thing is actually doing the Parallelogram Cipher. The rest of the two are actually pretty easy to do. And now let's head on over to step 3 to get our word from the jump over cipher. So the way the jump over cipher is going to work is essentially it's going to do, we're going to take our encrypted word from the previous stage, which we have right here. We're going to ignore the rest of these guys. We don't need anything else. And we're going to be using the key from step 0 and the key letter of the submit panel. We're always going to be using the key letter from the submit panel, as always. And what we're going to do is we're going to essentially start on the key letter, and we're going to jump over the first letter of the encrypted word, where the movement you would make would be the movement from the key letter to the first letter, but repeat it once more. So essentially what we're going to do is we're going to start on Sierra, and then we need to figure out how to get to Zulu. And then we simply need to get to Zulu and then just simply repeat the movement that we just did beforehand, which is why it's called the jump over movement. So from Sierra to Zulu, that's going to be one diagonal. So it's one diagonal to the down right, or just simply down right. Now we're essentially going to apply the exact same transformation once again, starting on the Zulu. So down right is going to be a Charlie. And that's going to be our first character of the letter. So now what we're going to do is we are no longer going to be using Sierra for the rest of this module. What we're going to do is we're going to take the first decrypted letter, and we're going to start at that position, and then we're going to go to the next character of the next letter of the word, the encrypted word, and we're simply going to do that there. So now what we're going to do is we're going to start from Charlie. We're going to go to alpha, which is 1 up, apply the same transformation again, which will lead us to a uniform. Next up, from uniform to golf, how do we get there? So that's going to be a down, down, right, right. Then we're simply going to apply that again. So down, down, right, right. So delta. And then delta to delta, which happen to be the exact same thing, which is delta moves nothing, and then we're going to move nothing again, which is going to be a delta. Coincidentally enough, that's a weird coincidence. Now from delta to Zulu, delta right here to get to Zulu is going to be 2 down. So 2 down to delta, 2 down to Zulu, then 1, 2 again will be a Lima. I'm starting to see it might be cuddle of some sort. From Lima to Quebec, so from Lima, we're going to be moving, ooh, okay, this is an interesting one. Let's move right, right, down, down. And then from Quebec, we're going to move right, right, down, down to an Echo. Makes sense, okay. And then from Echo to Bravo, we're going to be moving left, left, down. Left, left, down again will takes us to a Delta. And just like that, we have our word huddled. This is exactly what I mean by how we're going to be using the entire key for the entire module. I cannot stress you enough. Having this grid be right will affect the entire module. And it actually is not too bad of a module itself. It's really straightforward to get to. But now, since we have our answer, let's input it into the module. So we're going to be doing Charlie. Now, the way how the submission works is essentially what we're going to do is we're going to highlight to the letter that we want to submit. And what's going to happen is once we press submit, the letter that we input will essentially will appear on the far rightmost position on the top display here. And if we happen to essentially want to clear our submission in any way, shape, or form, we just press the top display, and it will just simply clear it good. So we're going to do huddled. It's going to be Charlie, uniform, delta, 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 cuddle, Lima, Echo, and finally delta. And the second you submit this last letter, that's when the module will submit, or give you a strike if you have to get it wrong. And just like that is a solved module. Let's go over one more example. This module is pretty straightforward, and but it's important that you get the key right. It's important that you understand how this works, because it's not simply just putting in the letters. Like, for example, let's go back a couple steps. We were developing the grid. So, for example, if we happen to go back here. So it's not like what you would do is you would start at the first character that you have in your word, and this would be Oscar right here. That's not it. Since this is the first character that we're looking at, and this is going to be the first unplaced letter of this alphabet, it's going to be alpha. And you're essentially going to be doing uniform, which is going to be a Bravo right here. Or no, it's going to be right there. So it's essentially you're building off of one another. And then essentially what you would do is you would go to the exact same position and then just keep looping around until you have the next unavailable spot, which will then be the next place that you put your next letter. So that's the way how that key works. It's a little bit weird to understand at first, especially since you are so used to just placing down, whatever letter you have. But essentially, it's all in alphabetical order of which you're going to go through. However, the placements are going to be different based off of where the letters start originally and where they all space out too. So keep that in mind. So let's go over one more example. I'm going to go a little bit faster this time, considering that we know how to do this module, and it's actually pretty straightforward with what it asks you to do. It is also important to know that these examples are very, very helpful. So if you ever happen to forget this module, how it works, essentially these examples will really help you and guide the way. They do a really, really good job at doing that. So thank you, Obvious, for that. It is important to note that also this is the later version of the two planar ciphers. I will be going over Mechanus, which is the first of the two, or the harder of the two rather. Both are true. And I will be going over that probably next because I've gotten really good with it. And so yeah, just keep on the watch. So we have Yankee Lima Lima Uniform Sierra Lima Echo. And then our keyword on the top display is actuary. Then we have Cannily and repower. And our key letter is going to be a hotel. So let's start developing the grid. all we need is this information. It's rather quite easy. So we have actuary, which is our keyword that we're going to use from the top panel. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a 5x5 grid again. So let's do that. That's a 6x6, unfortunately. And All right. So now we're going to go through these characters here. This represents A, B, C, D, E, F. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. I can spell. There we go. So alpha is the first position. That's going to be placed in position 1 right there. Charlie is the third position. Bravo is going to be placed right here. Charlie is going to be placed in position Tango, or 20. Uniform is going to be placed in position, Delta is going to be placed in position Uniform, which is going to be right there. Alpha again. So what we're going to do is we're going to go 1 to the right and place Echo right there. Romeo, which is 18, so 5, 10, 15, 16, 17, 18, which is going to be a Foxtrot. And Yankee, which is 25, or 24, because we're skipping Echo, is going to be a Golf, right there. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go from Alpha to the next available position. We're going to place Hotel. Then Bravo, next unavailable position, and we're going to place India. Charlie, next unavailable position, is going to be a Juliet. Delta, next unavailable position, is going to be a Kilo. Echo, next unavailable position, is going to be a Lima. Foxtrot, next unavailable position, is going to be a Mike. Then Golf is going to be a November. Alpha is going to be an Oscar. And everything's actually caught up at this point, I believe. So actually what we're just simply going to do is we're going to do alphabetical order. So it's going to be Oscar, then we just did Golf November. Alpha is going to be Oscar, then Papa, then Quebec, then Romeo, then Sierra, then Tango, then Uniform, then Victor, then Whiskey, skipping over X-Ray, and then we're going to have Yankee and Zulu. And just like that, we have our key right there. So now, let's take down our encrypted word here, bring U down, and we're going to do our first step right here. So we're going to do the global offset cipher. So from the center, how do we get to hotel? So from the center, we're going to be moving up, right to hotel, and that's what we're going to be doing for each of these letters here. So from Yankee, we're going to go up, right to Oscar. From Lima, we're going to go up, right to Juliet. Do that twice. Uniform, up, right to Hotel. Nice. Sierra, up, right to Echo. Lima, we've already done that one. That's going to be Juliet. And Echo, up, looping around, up, right to Foxtrot. And just like that, we're done with that step. Next up, we're going to take the parallelogram cipher. We're going to take these two keys right here, these two keywords, and we're going to place them together. Ready, power. Now, let's figure this out. So we're going to be starting, we're going to be doing Oscar. How do we get to Charlie and Romeo? So Oscar to Charlie is going to be left, down, and then the Romeo is going to be a right. So we're going to be doing left, down to Charlie, and then we're going to do a right to Foxtrot. Juliet to Alpha and Echo. Echo is 1 down. Alpha is going to be a down left. So we're going to go down, and then we're going to go down left to a Lima. Juliet to November and a Papa. November is 2 left. Papa is going to be up, right. 2 left. Up, right to a Lima. Happens to be the exact same thing, coincidentally. Then Hotel to November and Oscar. Hotel to November and Oscar. Up, right to November. Left, down to Oscar. So up, right. Left, down to a Bravo. Echo to India and Whiskey. Echo to India and Whiskey. Right. Then right, down. So right. Then right, down to a Uniform. Juliet to Lima and Echo. Juliet to an Echo is going to be down, and then to Lima is simply down, left. So down, and down, left to a Sierra. And then Foxtrot to Yankee and Romeo. Foxtrot to Yankee is left 2. Then Romeo is to top right, or just simply up, up, right, right. So we're going to go to left, then up, up, right, right to a papa. And just like that, we are done with that step. For our final bit, we're going to be starting at the hotel. We're going to start at the hotel, and we need to figure out how to get to Foxtrot, and then we're simply going to do that again. So from hotel, how do we get to Foxtrot? So we're going to go up, up, left to a Foxtrot, then up, up, left to Oscar. So now from Oscar to Lima is simply one left. We're going to do left again to a Romeo. Romeo to Lima is one right. Then one right again is Oscar. Then Oscar to Bravo, upright. Then we're going to do upright again to a Golf. Then Golf to Uniform. It's going to be up, up, left. Then up, up, left to an Echo. Then Echo to Sierra, left, down, down. Then left, down, then left, down, down to November. Then November to Papa. November to Papa is going to be left, left, down, down for Papa. Yep. Then left, left, down, down to Yankee. Now, if I search this up, orogeny. Yes, it is a word. It appears to be from geology. Perfect. So now that we have our word, orogeny, we're going to simply submit this into the module. Some of these words might be ones that you've obviously never seen before. This one I have not seen before, ever. I'm not a geologist, and I don't remember learning that in kindergarten or whatever I learned it in. So we're going to submit Oscar, Romeo, Oscar, Golf, Echo, November, and Yankee. Just like that, my friends, is a solved module. As always, thank you guys for watching. Remember to stay crazy, stay cool, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.